In this video, we're going to learn about 2 of the 5 promotional tools, and they are personal selling and sales promotion. So by the end of this video, you should be able to understand and discuss the role of a company's salespeople in creating value for customers and in building customer relationships. You should understand and be able to discuss the personal selling process, and you should be able to explain how sales promotion campaigns are developed and implemented. So let's start by thinking about personal selling. What do we mean by personal selling? Well, this is personal presentations by a sales force to make sales and to build customer relationships. And those personal representations, of course, are done by salespeople. These are the people who represent the business to the customers by performing one of 3 different kinds of activities, really, or all 3 activities. First of all, they're prospecting and communicating. By prospecting, we mean they're going out and they're finding customers. So they're going and finding customers, and then they're communicating with those customers. Once they've found the customers, they're selling to those customers and servicing those customers. And that might mean helping those customers with queries. It might mean helping those customers with additional purchases. Any kinds of problem those customers have, the salesperson should be there to help them with. And the third role, if you like, of a salesperson is to gather information and to build relationships with those customers in the hope of converting them into repeat customers who stay with the company for a long time. So companies will need to design both their sales force strategy and the structure. For large companies, this might mean thinking about how we organize our salespeople. Do we give each salesperson a geographical territory? So, for example, we have a sales force responsible for a particular region or a country. Or do we have a sales force for individual products? And the decision here will depend very much on the type of company and what its product portfolio includes. The other way to organize that sales force is by customers or by markets. So we might have salespeople who are dedicated to business customers, for example, or to final end consumers. So in summary, salespeople can be specialized by customer and territory, by product and territory. All the different combinations of those different things are the different ways in which companies will organize their sales force. So what are those detailed steps within that selling process? Well, as mentioned previously, we start with prospecting, finding customers and qualifying, making sure they're the kind of customers for whom the product is aimed. There might well then be what we call a pre-approach, an initial approach to the customer to just gather information and find out whether they are likely to be interested. And that leads on to a more formal approach, which in turn may lead to a presentation or a demonstration of the product or service. So this is clearly quite an expensive process to have salespeople out there individually selling products and services to customers. And therefore, businesses that have this kind of personal selling tend to be those businesses that are selling either expensive products or large quantities of products to their business customers, for example. Either way, the most important thing is that the value of the sale needs to be high enough to warrant the amount of time that an individual salesperson puts into it. So, for example, if I'm a business thinking of buying a new software system, I might expect the company selling those software systems to come and present and demonstrate those systems to me. At that point, the next job of the salesperson is to handle questions and maybe objections, and then, of course, to close the sale. Closing the sale is always the target of the salesperson, to actually sign the contract, make sure the money changes hands. And the final step is that follow-up, keeping customers happy, trying to make sure that they remain customers, trying to make sure that they spread that positive word about the company itself. So sales Personal selling is very much the domain of high revenue sales. When it comes to sales promotions, these can be aimed at business customers, but equally these can be aimed at individual consumers. And a sales promotion, the key thing about it is it's short term. It isn't something that lasts for a long time generally. It's a short term incentive to encourage the purchase of a product or service there and then. It might be used to hit sales promotion targets. So for example, in a car sales showroom, salespeople often have targets for the volume of cars they need to sell in an individual month. They might be able to use sales promotions to help them hit those targets. But of course, customers may not just be final buyers. Those would need consumer promotions. Those customers could be retailers and wholesalers. And in that case, they would need to be offered trade promotions, or they might be business customers who would want business promotions. So in the remainder of this video, we're going to look at those different types of promotions that are aimed at those different groups, consumers or the trade or businesses. But before we think about how that works, we need to think about what the objectives are. What is a business aiming to do with its sales promotion? Well, for consumer promotions, the business would really be trying to boost short-term customer buying or to boost customers' involvement with a brand. With trade promotions, that might be aimed at getting retailers to carry our items or to increase the amount of stock of our products that they carry. It might be to encourage those retailers to buy ahead or to promote the company's products in some way in their shop, to give them more shelf space or to give them a more prominent spot in the shop. And then business promotions. The objective of these really is to generate those business leads to stimulate purchases. So this is business to business selling. Let's start then with consumer promotion tools. If we're using sales promotion in order to urge that short-term customer buying, what are the tools that we can use? Well, there's a whole range of them. Businesses can offer those consumers samples, a trial in other words, give them a free trial and then ask them to buy afterwards. They can give them coupons that provide a discount. They can offer cashback or cash refunds. They can offer multi-packs, which might have savings compared to the usual price. Or they might offer some goods either free or at a low cost as an incentive to buy more of the product later on. Additional consumer promotion tools, things like advertising specialties. And what we mean by this is products which carry perhaps the business's, the producer's name, given to a gift as a gift to the customers, but also acts as promotion in itself. This might be point of purchase promotions, displays and demonstrations that we've all seen happening in our local supermarket, for example. And then there's competitions, those competitions that encourage us to buy a product, sweepstakes, games, things like that, give consumers a chance to interact with the product and the brand and a chance to win something, of course. And the final one is event marketing or even event sponsorships. So this is where we think about a brand marketing event or perhaps sponsoring a sports event or sponsoring a festival, a music festival. All these different kinds of promotion tools are at the disposal of businesses when they're trying to sell to consumers. What about if we're trying to sell to the trade? And remember, when we talk about the trade, we really mean retailers or wholesalers. So with trade promotions, we're trying to persuade resellers, people who might resell our product, we're trying to persuade them to carry our product, to carry our brand, to give it increased shelf space, perhaps in a supermarket, to put it on the end of the aisle where it's very visible, or maybe to include it in their promotion for their shop. So some similar Some similar tools can be used as we use directly with consumers. That idea of concepts and contests, premiums and displays. That idea of giving the retail some discounts and allowances, perhaps even giving the retailer some free goods. Some businesses will even pay for the retailer to give their products a more prominent position. We call that push money. So lots of different ways there. And the third one that we want to mention is business promotions. And these are used to generate business leads. So this is business to business selling. As a business ourselves, we're trying to sell products to another business. And this is a place where personal selling often comes back in, because often when we're selling to other businesses, we're selling high value products or perhaps large numbers of products that have a high value in total. So this is often about attending conventions, attending trade shows, having sales contests, all of those things that businesses use to persuade other businesses to buy their products. Okay, we're going to end there, and now there are a few questions for you to answer.